And right there is why I throw a Johnson Silver Minnow. At least one of the reasons why. That's 6 pounds of why anyway. Hey kids, DW Verts, Hickbilly Outdoors here. I'm going to talk a little bit about one of my favorite lures, especially for big bass. It's Johnson Silver Minnow. It's a weedless spoon. Tremendous bait for catching big fish. You're going to see some video I filmed yesterday. It turned into a day to film a video. I caught a couple bass over 5 pounds, one over 6. It's just not getting right for this bait. So hope y'all enjoy this. Hope y'all learn something. If you like what I'm doing, let me know. Subscribe. Don't like what I'm doing, let me know. See if I can work on it for you. This is all about y'all. It ain't got nothing to do with me. So we'll be back in just a minute. Stay tuned.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time.
It's a video like this where I feel like I wish I'd done a script, because there's several things to cover in a short amount of time without boring everybody to death. First off, let me say that this Johnson Silver Minnow is one of the finest big bass baits I've ever thrown in my life. It ranks right up there with a big plastic worm and a jig, Zara spook, buzz bait. Where it shines the most and the best is in water temperature below 65 degrees, and I've caught plenty of bass on it in warm and hot water, but it just really seems to come alive in cooler water. I've caught bass down to 45, 47 degree water on it. Fishing like a crankbait of all things. So let me explain real quick what this thing is. A Johnson Silver Minnow. It's a spoon. It's a weedless, stamped out spoon with a hook soldered into it. Unique bait. Comes in a variety of colors and sizes. Several things you can do with this bait. What this bait does the best is it handles heavy cover. I don't know of another lure that comes through cover like this thing does, including a frog. It has a real slow side-to-side swimming action. Faster you crank, the tighter it gets. You do not need a swivel on it. It's not a spoon that twists your line up if you do it right. I am going to throw this thing on a slow to medium retrieve. I explained this in the video. I'm not really sure. I hope I don't reiterate too much, but slow to medium retrieve in heavy cover, except, as I say that, I'm thinking all the times I've caught it on bare rock banks, or it is a tremendous boat dock bait. It skips like a rock because it's shaped like a frickin' rock, a flat rock. Weedless, brushless. That weed guard set at that kind of angle right there, just over the hook. It is a tremendous. You can get away with throwing this thing in places that not very other baits are going to go. Cooler water seems to be better. Fish it heavy, it's covered. You can fish it in around edges and holes, things like that. Where the frog works well on top of the slop and things. I love my frogs, don't get me wrong. Another big bass bait. Go a lot of places like a beagle dog hunting a rabbit. Bait-wise, not very versatile am I. All I use is a 1/4 ounce. I think it's a 2.5 inch long 1/4 ounce bait. I tried a 1/2 ounce once. I did not like it. It sunk into stuff too much. They make them from fly rod size all the way up to muskie size. The 1/4 ounce bait is the only one I throw, and I'm not going to change because it works too well. I am no fan of color and almost anything. I put some stuff together. Well, that's the way I threw that one yesterday. This one I caught the bass. You're going to see that's the bait exactly. I've got it retied on for tomorrow. I realized going through some things for this video that I don't have any silver ones. The Johnson Silver Minnow that I don't have a silver minnow. And for years that was my go-to. I bought a bunch of these chrome nickely black ones. Oh, I bought like 15 of them cheap in the early 90s. I'm just now getting, I opened one up of the package this spring. I think that was the last one I had in the package. I wear hooks out on them. I grind hooks down to nothing. I broke some weed guards on them before, which is, you could rig a weed guard up with a rubber band or something. But I file the hooks way to nothing. And that being said, they come with horrible hooks for being sharp. And you have to have them things sharp. You need to be able to pile drive a fish, and you just can't mess around. I've had them almost rounded over the years. They're better now than they used to be. Real quick, trailer-wise, all three of these I realize just now I'm holding up all have skirts on them. My favorite skirt is the old-fashioned rubber skirt. You would call it a hula grub skirt is what you would call it. They're getting hard to come up with. They all work. The modern, more silicone skirts have a tendency to be a little thick. Minor. Other trailers I use. That's one of those Zoom swimming chunks. Pretty cool. A plastic pork frog works well. A real pork frog works well. Y'all ain't gonna do that. That's up to me. I like a 3-4-inch double tail a lot. I've used bass strips, like pork bass strips and spinnerbait trailers. A single curly tail works. Almost anything works on them as long as it doesn't impede the action too much. When I say that, when you hang a trailer on this bait, you don't want to thread it on the hook like you normally would. And let me show you that real quick. You don't want to thread it on. Okay, generally, you don't want to thread it on. You don't want to put it on the hook like this. That gives it an action I really don't like. What I do is I try to center punch it as much as possible. And with my stroke impeded brain, that's tough to do. And there is the way I like to rig it. So it gets a little flop, and that helps it swim. It doesn't slow the bait down from that side to side wobble in action. That's the way I like to do it, okay? Colors, whatever. I'm not a color person. I know yesterday, though, I was fishing, the water was really clear where I was catching these bass you're going to see on this video. And I was throwing this kind of perch. I call it a perch. It's got a little bit of lime green, chartreuse green, and orange. And it was really bright, especially with that white skirt. And I mean, it was bothering me bright. And I went to nickel black, chrome black. I keep saying nickel, it's chrome black. Beat all to heck with a black and white skirt. And maybe they just started biting. They sure liked it. Oh yeah, get in here. That's what we're talking about. And right there is why I throw a Johnson Silver Minnow. At least one of the reasons why. That's 6 pounds of wide anyway. So that's what a Johnson Silver Minnow can do. In the spring and fall especially, water temperatures below, definitely below 65 and probably above 45, although I've caught them in colder water than that. So it's kind of a window. I've caught them in the summer. Catch more small bass in the summer on it, and you have to have grass. It just can't be. Doesn't seem like it's just lily pads, although there's always exceptions, but October, November, March, April, maybe early May in Missouri, it comes through everything so clean and pretty. I mean, yeah, it'll pick up a little moss once in a while, whatever. It goes places most baits just would run from. And that 6.3 I just caught is the only bite I've had on it today. Now I haven't thrown it a ton, but it's the only bite I've had on it, but it tells me it's getting close. Oh man, that fish just trashed it. Fish, get in here. Man, fish hit it just after it hit the water. That was pretty fun right there. Another good one. 5 pounds or so. Man, that's just fun right there, guys. That's just girls, whatever. Keep saying guys, there are girls out there too. Look at that. Another 5.5 to 6 pounder. Tackle wise, y'all, it ain't that hard a deal. You just can't be throwing this thing on no ultralight and no light action stuff. This is a bait. You're going to be, first off, it catches big bass. It catches toadfish. It's amazing the size of bass. And it catches a lot of bass too. It's one of those baits that seems to do good on anything. But you're throwing it in some pretty gnarly stuff. I throw it in grass, lily pads, brush, timber, laydowns, boat docks. I'm putting in where the big bass live. That's one of the reasons it's such a good big bass bait. It's like a frog. It goes where they live. Pitching and flipping a plastic worm and a jig, you're putting it right near where the fish are. I catch a lot of good bass on a crankbait, but over and above through the years, I've never caught them like I do on these baits. So tackle-wise, I'm going to throw a pretty heavy setup. This is the exact rod, exact bait I was throwing yesterday. I'm going to throw it again tomorrow. I've re-rigged it. Check the hook for sharpness. This, I like my Dobbins poles. Not sponsored by anybody. I have lots of good rods and reels. But this is a Dobbins 704, so it's a 7 foot long, 4 power. That makes it their heavy action rod. Now, they're heavy in this rod, and this is a Colt. This is their introductory level rod. You'll see in the video I lifted 6 pound bass in a boat with it. I am thrilled with these $79 rod. It has a little bit of tip. Not a lot, but a little bit. I want a little bit of tip on this bait. For one thing, it only weighs a 1/4 ounce. But it will throw a mile. This thing will throw 2 counties over. You got to be careful throwing it too far. But I like a little bit of tip because the way I work this bait, and I show it in the video, I'm doing some manipulation, just like I do the spinnerbait or a crankbait. I'm fluttering that bait, I'm hitting stuff, I'm twitching it, and I want the rod to give a little bit. I've used their extra heavy rod and caught plenty of bass, but I like that. It's just a regular heavy or a good medium heavy. Anything lighter, you're fooling yourself, folks, unless you're just fishing a bunch of 12 inchers. I'm using braid. I'll never use anything else with a spoon again. Oh, if we'd have had braid when I was a kid. The fish that I lost due to line stretch and just whatever, breaking off. 65 and 50 pound braid. There's no reason to go anything less. 30 pound braid is 8 pound test diameter. You do have a saw off factor, you know. Small braid could saw off on things if it didn't cut through it like a knife. This, I believe, is 65. It is 65. Just put brand new line on it. Well, this rod and reel is ready to go for tomorrow. I just put 65 pound Power Pro whatever braid on it. Sharpen hooks, a little grease in my old 4600C ambassador, because I tell you what, guys, when it comes to winching big bass out of stuff, you still can't beat those old heavy reels. You just can't beat them. It's a 5-to-1 reel, 5-3-to-1. It's got big spool, makes it quicker than a modern reel would be at 5-3-to-1, but I'm going to have the power. I'm not sold on these new reels as far as power. And you don't care about speed. This is a lure that does not need to be fished fast. A little more so in the summertime. It's not the lure it is in hot weather as it is right now and in the spring. That's it, guys. It's pretty simple. I'm not sure why the popularity of this thing went away. I don't really understand what happened. I'd like to say that a bunch of pros kept this thing a secret, but I haven't seen any sign of any of the big hitters throwing it. If you're fishing in heavy cover, it's a must. If you're fishing a pond with weeds around the edges, it's a must. Underneath willow trees. I have caught bass in this thing on a bare rock, 45-degree channel bank on the end of a bluff once, banging along the bottom like a crankbait because it just wobbles. It swims just like that. And caught a almost 8-pounder once on Lake of the Ozarks doing that because nobody else is throwing it. Don't worry about colors much. I said gold, silver, and black has been the 3 colors I've used for years. I bought some of them, these more perch colored a while back, really cheap. If I don't like them too much, I'll knock that finish off. Like I said, I'm not real worried about it. Wish I had more to tell y'all. The video is going to show you everything I've talked about now, and I'll probably see some of the stuff in there too. I haven't looked at it since I filmed it yesterday. I just wanted to kind of do a little intro and outro thing here and let y'all know it is a tremendous bait, and it catches bass, it catches pike and muskie, but it is, if it is the bait for a special, you take a new fisherman, you want them getting hung up, give them a heavy rod and some heavy line, let them throw this thing wherever they want. They're going to have a hard time getting it hung up on anything important. So I think that's it, y'all. Thanks for watching. Appreciate if you like what we're talking about here. Subscribe. Let me know what I'm doing right or wrong. I'm going to keep doing the fishing stuff and all kinds of things coming down the road. God bless y'all. Talk at you later. That name, Johnson Silver Minnow, is just a horrible name. It's a bait that was invented, I think, in the 30s, 1930s. It does not do it justice. If they would rename it the Johnson. Oh, good God, did you see? Wow, that's the kind of stuff that happens on a silver minnow.